Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Sleepy Grimoire. It's a pleasure to have you here in our very first video. This space was created to help you slow down, rest, and dream peacefully. Now imagine arriving at a place where time doesn't rush. It simply breathes slowly. A village hidden between the sea and a gentle rain, lit by amber lanterns and quiet laughter. Every cobblestone street holds a secret. Every fogged-up window invites a peek inside. It's the kind of setting where even silence seems to speak, cradling a tired heart into a slower rhythm. Tonight, you'll be taken to this haven where polite seagulls offer warm welcomes, tea tastes like a hug, and clocks learn to listen to the sea. Among cozy inns, glass workshops, and songs that mimic waves, every detail was made to quiet the mind. Nothing here demands hurry. Everything is simply offered in the gentle rhythm of someone who knows how to care. And as you walk through these glowing streets, you'll discover that small lights hold the power to calm storms, both outside and within. There's a flickering flame, a lighthouse that needs protection, and a moment when the entire village breathes together. But don't worry, this is a story meant to soothe, not to stir. A story that begins simply and ends the way every good night should, in peace. Anyone who saw her stepping off the tram would say that time decided to slow down just so she could catch her breath. The amber lamps light up like kind eyes, while fogged shop windows blink half-told stories. The rain goes tick-tick on the eaves, a tiny metronome adjusting thoughts. The sea breeze mixes with dried orange peel and waxed wood, like an old house that knows how to keep secrets. Around her neck, a soft scarf. On her lips, the simple promise of jasmine tea with honey. You can almost feel the comfort before the first sip. An observant mentor would notice she's already practicing the art of arriving, slowing her gaze, sharpening her hearing, taking in the scents, touching what welcomes, and savoring what's still to come. For anyone who wants to try this at home, it's a no-brainer. A warm bedside lamp, a quiet rain playlist, and a small jar of dried orange peels. If possible, a cloth with natural wax on the wood. The scent quietly straightens out the mind. And that's it. 5 minutes like this and the world starts speaking more softly. She laughs to herself when the polite seagull lets out a little hi for every newcomer, like a fluffy doorman stamping passports. The bell above the door jingles, and out of nowhere, the cobblestone street feels like a welcome hallway. An old chronicler would swear that places like this breathe along with those who arrive, inhaling with the tick, exhaling with the tick again. It's the kind of detail that shifts the atmosphere without drawing attention, like a kind magician's trick. And between us, who's to say this steady breathing won't lead her to a certain lemon tree waving from the corner? As the door creaks open slowly, her heart already feels at home before even stepping on the rug. Donna Lydia appears with that voice that feels like a folded blanket at the end of the day, welcoming without asking anything, just understanding. The scent of old-fashioned cake and the creaking of warm wood complete the picture. In the room, a thick knitted wool blanket rests on the bed, and the flame of a vanilla candle dances silently, as if saying, "Everything's okay now." Outside the window, the sea insists on rocking the night with its endless ebb and flow. The secret here isn't luxury done, but ritual. Boots left to dry by the fireplace, a steaming cup of chamomile tea with honey and orange peel, and the sense that time has decided to take a break. It's curious how small details can create scenes of calm. If you'd like to try this at home, it's easy. Take off your shoes, put on warm socks, heat up a mug of tea, and light a scented candle. And just like that, your personal little inn is born in your living room. In those simple gestures lies the power to restore the soul. And there's something magical about how spaces hold memories. This inn seems to whisper stories of travelers who arrived exhausted and left smiling. It's no wonder that people passing through feel the urge to leave notes or flowers on the counter. as if thanking the place itself. Maybe it's the lemon tree by the door, maybe it's Donalidia, or maybe it's the sum of everything. The truth is, after a night there, even your pocket watch seems to tick in a different rhythm. But just wait until you meet the one who repairs it. After placing her teacup on the sideboard and saying goodbye to Donalidia's warm smile, the girl walks down a narrow hallway of the inn. The walls smell of polished wood, and at the end, a discreet door reveals a completely different universe. Mr. Ailo's watch shop, tucked into the heart of the old house, as if it were a natural extension of its coziness. There, time takes on body and texture, pulsing through every gear that breathes slowly. The door creaks, and suddenly she steps into a world where time has a scent, a sound, and even a mood of its own. The aroma of sandalwood oil mixes with the clicks of the mechanisms, each tick echoing as if the village's heart had a precise address. The owner, Mr. Aolo, looks on with the calm of someone who knows that clock hands are never in a rush. Even the light feels different here. It passes through magnifying lenses and reflects like tiny stars kept in glass boxes. It's in this rhythm that she leaves her pocket watch, not because it's broken, but because it, too, deserves to breathe again. And you can't ignore the shop's manager cat, Mr. Teak, with his order-to-like demeanor. He walks across the workbench with comical seriousness, checking screws as if precision depended on his pour. He's that unexpected detail that changes the tone of the place, reminding you that even in the most meticulous craft, there's room for a soft laugh. If you'd like to bring that into your routine, ask yourself, who's your Mr. Teak? Sometimes it's a plant in the office, a touch of humor in an ordinary object, something that breaks the stiffness and brings a little humanity back into the time spent on serious tasks. Mr. Aolo gives his usual recommendation: take a little walk for an hour and come back. It sounds simple, but deep down, it's an invitation to give time the space to work on your behalf. Why not try that tomorrow? While the oven heats the bread, instead of checking your phone, take a walk around the block. While the laundry runs, read a few pages of a book. Time doesn't have to be a prison. It can be an ally. It just asks that we step away from it now and then. And, curiously, it's in this stepping away that the path begins to open toward a very different kind of light, made of glass and fire. The path from the watch shop leads to an alley lit by amber reflections, where warmth spreads even before the furnace comes into view. The tent of artisan Nara pulses like a glass heart, alive in each breath that gives shape to transparency. Her steady hands don't just mold lanterns. They seem to carve silence itself, leaving it glowing. She smiles as if to say, make yourself at home, and the girl understands that even the flame in the furnace invites rest. It's a workshop, but it feels like a hug. The village festival comes to life through Nara's words. Each lit lantern is like a prayer against the storms, a reminder that even the sea needs calm. The wicks, soaked in chamomile and rosemary oil, carry more than fragrance. They're like hand-braided promises. The mascot Octavio, a felt octopus in a tiny apron, watches the scene with funny seriousness, drawing out soft laughter. It's the kind of detail that shows how tradition and humor can share the same space without getting in each other's way. The girl watches enchanted as the furnace crackles with dry wood and amber, and midnight blue glass takes shape before her eyes. The glow of the pieces seems to capture bits of sky, holding them in small globes of light. Nara mentions that once, a child swore they saw live stars inside a lantern, and ever since, everyone looks for that hidden sparkle. The girl smiles, not yet realizing that, as she follows the trail of steam and glass, she'll soon arrive at the sweet scent of tea drifting from the nearby street. Just around the next corner, the aroma reveals the destination before the storefront does. The Sweet Mist Tea House opens its doors like a sigh. Light steam draws arabesques in the air, Sauces clink in a gentle rhythm, and every table seems to invite conversations with no rush. The menu welcomes everyone alike, offering creamy corn cake, almond cookies, and apricot preserves, all paired with steaming teas, from delicate jasmine to bold royals, not to mention the classic chamomile that always soothes. Its comfort served in porcelain. The grandmother tending the stove has a curious gift. She predicts the weather just by the sound of the kettles. When the whistle lingers, she swears rain is coming. When it quiets quickly, it means a clear night. The girl laughs at the superstition, but realizes how even the simplest beliefs carry the charm of turning routine into poetry. That's how every cup gains a story, and every sip becomes a memory. Octavio, the felt octopus from the nearby tent, might even offer a little wave if he could feel the warmth of the steam dancing through the room. Holding a warm mug, the girl feels the world shrink until it fits between her two hands. The soft sweetness of orange blossom awakens memories of sunny afternoons, even with the rain still falling outside. Around her, the rhythmic clinking of spoons against porcelain sounds like a lullaby for tired grown-ups. In that moment, she realizes that the village isn't just made of stones and fakirs, but of quiet breaths hidden in the details. A teacup, a scent, a laugh. And without even noticing, she lets herself be carried away by the distant waltz beginning to echo from outside. And there was also something in the decor that made time stretch gently. Lacy curtains filtered the light into delicate patterns, while shelves lined with glass jars reflected tiny constellations. Each handwritten label seemed to tell secrets passed down through generations. The girl, distracted by the movement of the steam, imagines what it would be like to spend an entire night there, simply listening to stories invented from scents. But the soft chime of the door signals that the street is calling her back, bringing with it the gentle melody of the orchestra already warming up on the sidewalk. As she leaves the tea house, the night seems to have found its own rhythm. In the central square, musicians adjust violins, and an accordion releases notes as if they were seashells opened by the tide. The slow little waltz begins timidly, but soon mimics the rise and fall of waves, rocking steps and breathing. The light rain joins in as a quiet percussion, keeping tempo on the umbrellas. And suddenly, the whole village seems to spin in the same rhythm, like a living score. The artisan Nara appears among the listeners, delicately holding a small glass star. Smiling, she tells how it was the first one she ever blew, still a child, her hands trembling with nerves but happy to capture a reflection of the sky. The memory is as gentle as the melody wrapping around the square, and even Octavio, the felt octopus, sways from someone's apron as if he too were part of the dance. Light-hearted humor blends with nostalgia, creating an atmosphere that needs no stage or applause, just eyes willing to shine. And there, in that moment, each phrase of the music seems to stretch the breath of those who listen. Long sentences, soft pauses, an invitation to drop the shoulders and let the body forget its rush. The girl closes her eyes, and for a moment it feels as if time doesn't run, it glides, like someone strolling hand in hand along the pier. And maybe it's exactly in that gliding that new encounters begin to appear, because not every young heart finds company right away, and proof of that wears a green coat that just crossed the square. Amid the music and the rain, the girl notices a scene that contrasts with the warm rhythm around her. A boy in a green coat holds tightly to his mother's hand, but his eyes wander, misted with longing. He watches the laughing, dancing groups and seems to carry in his chest the weight of friends left behind. His mother gently strokes his hair, trying to soften the emptiness, but the gesture only highlights the silence resting on his small shoulders. It's a bittersweet contrast in the middle of the illuminated square. With the tenderness of someone who recognizes loneliness, The girl approaches and promises the boy an unexpected gift, a little sea green lantern, to light up his room and remind him that new friendships can also be born. The boy, half skeptical, lets out a shy smile, like someone who doesn't want to believe, but can't resist hope. The mother thanks her with an emotional gaze, as if that promise were more than a lantern, a miniature future lit up. The wind seems to applaud, playing with the brim of the boy's coat. Mr. Tika the cat, always showing up where least expected, decides to join the scene in his own way. He leaps onto a box of colorful ribbons and, with all the seriousness in the world, lies down on a ball of shimmering green yarn. The simple gesture draws out laughter, turning weight into lightness. It's as if the village itself were conspiring to weave invisible ties between those who arrive. And from that moment on, the promise of the little lantern wasn't just an idea. It already had color, ribbon, and the irreverent seal of approval from a clockmaker's cat. The promise made in the square takes shape inside the calm workshop, where every detail unfolds like part of a secret ritual. First, the wick is delicately rated, soaked in tiny drops of chamomile that spread a herbal scent through the air. The glass begins to blow before the furnace, inflating like a bubble that defies logic. It grows, it shines, but never bursts. The boy watches, mesmerized, as if hope itself were being shaped before his eyes. Nara guides the process with the patience of someone who knows that delicacy doesn't go well with haste. Waxed cotton is chosen for the ribbon that will frame the little lantern, and Mr. TK, the manager cat, patrols the workbench, inspecting every step with his usual comedic seriousness. The soft laughter he sparks helps melt away the boy's tension, who no longer thinks about the absence of his friends, but about the glow that will soon light up his room. His mother, by his side, sighs as if releasing a breath that blends relief with gratitude. When the lantern finally lights up, the soft green reflects on the boy's face, drawing out a smile that had been hiding for a long time. The phrase engraved by Nara echoes in the workshop. Some lights exist only to remind us that everything is okay. And in that moment, the girl realizes it wasn't just a handmade object, but a living reminder that every heart deserves a lighthouse, no matter how small. And as every good ritual calls for celebration, the village is already preparing the harbor dinner, where the aroma of fish and herbs calls out to those walking by. The street naturally leads to the pier, where the scent announces the table before it even comes into view. The harbor dinner is simple and yet unforgettable. A light fish stew seasoned with fresh herbs, roasted vegetables still crackling on the plate, and cornbread fresh from the oven, crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside. A drizzle of olive oil flows like it's painting golden lines, while steam rises slowly, like a silent prayer warming the body. There, eating feels almost like hugging the night. The distant orchestra still echoes, but here its sounds mix with the gentle clinking of spoons against clay bowls. The waiter, with a bashful smile, fumbles as he offers black pepper and, laughing at himself, corrects, "I mean stardust." The whole table laughs, and the mix-up ends up becoming an extra seasoning for the dish. The girl realizes how moments like these create memories, not just because of the flavor, but because of the lightness that comes with each bite, as if laughter were a secret ingredient. While she savors the warm broth, the girl watches the reflection of the lantern flames dancing on the wet wood of the pier. The sea responds with its own show, returning the light in tiny sparks that break across the waves. Chad feels like she's inside a story that tells itself, just waiting for someone to listen. But soon another sound makes itself known, the tack, tack of Mr. Aolo's clock, discreetly calling her back to the watch shop, where time has one more surprise in store. Back at the watch shop, the girl finds the room wrapped in rhythmic silence, broken only by the tick-tack tick, tack of the newly adjusted hands. Mr. Aolo, with eyes that shine like polished glass, hands her the now glimmering watch, its cover reflecting the lantern light like a miniature moon. It's curious. Every sound seems rounder, more serene, as if the sea itself had breathed peace into the mechanism. Time there was no longer rushing, and it was dancing. He comments, almost in a whisper, that clocks listen to the sea and run slow when it asks for silence. The phrase, half wisdom, half poetry, settles into the girl's mind like a secret kept for sleepless nights. And suddenly, the rhythmic ticking of the hand stops being just the marking of seconds. It becomes a lullaby. It fills the room and cradles anyone who listens. Even Mr. Tika the cat, in his tireless patrol, seems to give in, letting out a wide yawn among the gears. Each tick of the clock feels like a shared heartbeat, echoing out into the village, falling asleep under the drizzle. The girl feels like part of this invisible orchestra, where even time knows when it needs to rest. But calm never comes without a test, and on the horizon a flame wavers, as if challenging the steady rhythm. The great lantern of the harbor, so firm until now, begins to flicker under the salty breath of the sea breeze. From the dock, a damp gust of sea air makes the great lantern's flame tremble. The light, which once spread firmly across the wet cobblestones, now blinks out of sync, as if torn between going out and holding on. The village is in no danger, but everyone feels the meaning behind the hesitation. When the lantern falters, the collective heart skips a beat, too. It's as if the night had held its breath, waiting for the next move. The drizzle thickens, scratching the air with silver threads, while the villagers approach in respectful silence. No one speaks aloud, because they understand this isn't a practical problem. It's a symbolic act. The village needs that light as a reminder that the sea can be tamed. The girl feels the silent invitation in her chest, almost like an invisible hand calling her closer to the trembling flame. It's in this moment that the narrative shifts into second person. Bring your calm hands to hold the pole. The invitation feels so intimate, it seems to come from inside the lantern itself. The cold in the air contrasts with the warmth of the still living flame, and the touch on the damp metal sounds like a silent pact between her and the village. Time, once marked by the tick-tack of clocks, now waits. And the next gesture, slow, ritualized, will decide whether the light stays lit. The girl takes a deep breath and, guided by a calm that seems to come from the village itself, begins the repair as if it were an ancient rite. First, a linen cloth wipes each drop of drizzle that insists on running down the iron pole. The slow movement isn't just practical, it's symbolic, as if drying away the lingering doubts in the air. All around, the murmur of the sea blends with the sound of steady breathing, creating an almost sacred cadence. The old wick is carefully removed, replaced by a braided one soaked in chamomile, chosen not only for its scent, but for the gentle clarity it inspires. A single drop of rosemary oil falls onto the fiber, releasing into the air a fresh note that brings to mind sunlit fields. Every detail feels loaded with intention. This isn't just maintenance. It's a silent conversation between fire, wind, and human hands. Even Mr. Teak, in his improvised watchpost, observes without a meow, as if respecting the solemnity of the moment. Finally, the girl leans in, shielding the newborn flame with her own chest, like an embrace to the lighthouse. The warmth of the lantern touches her hands, and the herbal scent wraps around the space like an invisible cloak. Slowly, the light regains its honey-gold glow, steady and strong, defying the sea air that still insists on blowing. The collective silence turns into a breath of relief, and the entire village seems to exhale together. But the real impact is yet to come, when that renewed light touches the water's surface and returns the long-awaited reflection to the dock. When the flame steadies, a reverent silence takes over the village. The harbor lantern pulses again in a honey-colored glow, its light steady like a heart finding its rhythm once more, reflecting across the water's surface. The small waves scatter the glow into dancing fragments, as if stars had fallen from the sky to play on the dock. The reflection doesn't just light the sea, it rekindles the collective memory that, even in the face of salty winds, light knows how to endure. Villagers approach slowly, as if not wanting to break the freshly woven magic. Gentle laughter returns when Octavio, the felt octopus, is awarded a tiny star-shaped pin for his services rendered that night. The simple gesture earns applause, and even Mr. TK seems to purr, proud to be part of the celebration. The light-hearted humor breaks the solemnity without lessening it, proving that when a community breathes as one, joy and reverence can walk hand in hand. The girl, hands still warm from the flame, watches the reflection on the dock, as if engraving an anchor within herself. She understands that the moment is not just a happy ending, but a memory to be revisited on darker days. The sea may grow restless, but there will always be enough light to return the heart to its rhythm. And while the reflections keep dancing across the water, the night moves gently toward rest, guiding her steps back through streets adorned with rain and open umbrellas. With the flames steady in the lighthouse, the village begins to slowly disperse, but not without keeping the memory of that night close to heart. The girl opens her umbrella and starts the journey back, accompanied by a familiar rhythm. Tick-tick from the watch in her pocket, in harmony with the raindrops tapping on the fabric brim. It's as if time itself had chosen to walk beside her, measuring each step with patience. The smell of wet earth rises from the cobblestones, bringing back memories of rainy childhood afternoons, while the cool sea breeze blows from the side, reminding her that the ocean never truly sleeps. Inside her coat, however, there's a protected warmth, born not just from thick wool, but from the feeling of belonging to a place that now feels like home. At every corner, the lantern's reflection from the harbor fades a little more, like a distant wave goodbye. The cobblestones shine under the scattered light, and the sound of rain seems to soften the heart's pace. The journey back is not just physical. It's like walking through a corridor of freshly created memories, each one marked by a scent, a sound, or a color. And as the night closes in with cozy silence, there remains a subtle promise that every farewell carries within it an invitation to return. Because stories like this never truly end. They simply wait for the next page. And so after walking cobbled streets, hearing waltzes that breathe like waves, and watching a flickering flame shine once more, the night now rests within you. But perhaps the real question is, what is your harbor lantern? What small gestures, scents, or rituals could bring you calm when life's sea breeze starts to blow too hard? Think, is there a place, a scent, or even a sound that you could return to rekindle your own gentle light? Maybe it's the clink of a teacup, the crackle of a candle, or simply the rhythm of your steps in the rain. Each detail holds the power of memory, and you get to choose which ones will be yours. If you'd like to keep soothing your heart with stories like this, go ahead and watch the next video, and let another village, another sound, or another flame bring peace to your night.